Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Kasra Online. My name is Ayub Palmer and I'm an Arabic instructor for Kasra Arabic Institute. This is the 6th video in our letter series, and we will be learning about the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween. You can take out your writing worksheet and follow along with this video if you wish. For those who don't have the worksheets that accompany this video series, please fill out the form at the end of the video, and Kasra will have them sent to you. Let's get started. Again, we have 4 main objectives in this lesson. The first objective is to pronounce the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween. Again, we're talking here about the letter Khaa and the Kasra Tanween. In the previous lesson, we discussed the Kasra. This time, we're going to be talking about something very similar to the Kasra, which is called the Kasra Tanween. Our second objective here is to recognize the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween when we see them in a word. Our third objective is to write the Khaa in its different forms. And as you know from the previous lessons that we've gone through, there are 4 positions for each letter in Arabic. And the Khaa has all 4 of the 4 positions. The Kasra Tanween, however, doesn't have a position. Rather, it is written below a letter. So that's a little bit different. We're going to discuss this some more as we move forward. Our fourth objective is to pronounce and write the Khaa in a word. And the word that we're going to focus on today is the word for peach. And we pronounce this as khookhin. I'm writing the KH to represent the Khaa. However, KH is just an approximation. So, khookhin means a peach. Let's look at the Arabic alphabet and see where our letters show up. Before we do that, actually, let's just talk about the pronunciation of the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween. So we have here the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween. So the Khaa here, and I'm writing it as a KH. However, this is a sound that is not as far back in the throat as the Ha, which we discussed before. It's a little bit closer to the mouth. And the Khaa is the sound that sometimes people make when they're clearing their throat. For example, they say, some people make that type of a sound when they clear their throat. That is the Khaa sound. And we don't have this sound in English, so this is a sound that you are going to have to practice a little bit. The Kasra Tanween is like the Kasra. But the Tanween is here, and you can look, this circle here represents a letter in the Arabic alphabet. And here we have a Kasra, and here we have another Kasra. So we're writing 2 Kasras, one on top of the other. And we call this Kasra Tanween. Now the Kasra Tanween has an in sound. That noon is what we call Tanween. So as you remember, if you remember the word that we had, which was khin, we have the I sound for the kasra, and we have the noon sound here for the kasra tanween. So if you remember, we wrote it as khin. This in here is the same as this. And it is represented as 2 kasras below the letter. Now let's look at the alphabet. So here we're all the way over to the left-hand side here with the Khaa. Again, we go from right to left. And if we come down to our short vowels, we have here the Kasra Tanween. Now let's look at the Khaa in its 4 positions. So again, we said here that the Khaa comes in 4 positions out of the 4 positions that Arabic letters have. And in our initial position, independent position, the Khaa looks like this. And it looks just like the Ha and the Jim, which we discussed before, but it has a dot above the letter. In the initial form, the Khaa again looks the same, but again it has a dot above. And number 3, the Khaa in the medial position, it has a dot above. And again, number 4, the Khaa in the final position has a dot above. So this is the Khaa in the 4 different positions. Now let's look at the Khaa with the Kasra Tanween. So we have in position 1, the independent position, we have our Khaa. Now again, we said that the Kasra Tanween, like the Kasra, is written below the letter. But the Kasra Tanween is 2 Kasras. So we're going to write it like this. Khin. Number 2, we have here the Khaa in the initial position. Like this. And again, if we're going to write the Tanween here, you write it like this. And it would be khin. In the medial position, khin. And in the final position, khin. Now, one thing to note here is that although the Kasra Tanween is written below the letter, it is actually only going to show up in words in the independent position and in the final position. So we can actually cross these 2 out because you're not going to see the Kasra Tanween in the initial position or in the medial position. Let's write this a few times. I'm going to change my color to yellow. Okay, now we're doing the Khaa here. Let's go back to the Khaa. We're going to write the Khaa in the independent position. like that. Let's do it again. Like that. Like that. Now, let's write the Khaa in the initial position. There we go. Again. And we have the Khaa in the initial position. In the medial position, we have the Khaa here. In the medial position again, have the Khaa. Again, it's going to connect from the right and the left. And finally, we have the final position. We have the Khaa here. The dot on top. Connecting. Like this. Like that. Okay. Now let's write the Khaa. Let's go back. Not too far. Okay, now we're going to write the Khaa again with Kasra Tanween. Okay? And remember, we're only going to write the Khaa with the Kasra Tanween in the independent position and in the final position, because that's the only time that you will see the Kasra Tanween on a letter. Okay, so let's write the Khaa here. That's our Khaa. And then if we're going to write the Kasra Tanween, 2 lines below. Khin. Okay, do it one more time. Khin. Again. Khin. Now let's write it in the 4th position. Connect. Write our Khaa. And 2 kasras. Kasra Tanween. Khin. Again. Let's do it one more time. Khin. Connect. Below the line. A dot. And Khin. Great. Now, let's put these two letters together to form a word. Okay, so we have here the Khaa. Let's just review really quickly. The Khaa we have in our independent position. We have it in the initial position. We have it in the medial position. And we have it in the final position. Now, we want to write the word Khuhin. Khuhin. So, which means a peach. Khuhin means a peach. Now, the first sound that we hear is a kh. And so that's an initial form because it's the first letter in the word and it connects to what comes after it because the letter that comes after it is a wow and the wow connects from the right. So here we're going to write the Khaa. Okay, and this is the form here. And next we hear a long vowel wow. Khin. So we're going to actually write a wow here. And then we hear another kha. So it's khin. You hear the kha after the long vowel wow. So that's going to be a kha in the independent position. Okay, again, this is number 2. This is number 3, medial. And this is going to be number 1. Why? Because, again, the wow does not connect to what comes after it. So we have to write the kha in the independent position. And then we're going to add the Kasra Tanween. But again, because the Kasra Tanween doesn't have a space of its own, it comes below the letter. So it's going to become below this letter. And our word is going to be written like this. Khin, a peach. Great. So the only last thing that we'll discuss here is this a here. Why do we say a peach? Well, let's come back down here to khin, and we'll see that the Kasra Tanween indicates indefiniteness, or is similar to the a or an in English. So here the Kasra Tanween is like the a in a peach. Great. Now let's summarize what we've done, or actually write. Before we summarize, we're going to write this word khin a few times. Okay. So let's write this like this. Khin. 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 Great. Now let's summarize. So, the letter Khaa in Arabic sounds like someone clearing their throat. And we're going to write it as a KH because that's the closest we could maybe come in English to that kind of a sound. Anyway, we will represent the Khaa as a KH in our transliteration. The Kasra Tanween is like the Kasra, but adds an N sound after it. And it sounds like in. So if this is a letter, we're going to pretend this circle is a letter, then we're going to write the Kasra Tanween below the letter, and it's going to sound like an in sound. So the letter Khaa connects to letters that come before it and after it. So for example, in the medial position, the Khaa will connect to a letter before it and after it. Now the Kasra Tanween is written underneath the letter like the Kasra, but looks like two Kasras written next to each other. So if we were going to write the Khaa here, then the Kasra Tanween would be written below it as two dashed lines next to each other. Okay, so let's look at our homework. Please download the writing worksheet and practice writing the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween. And also don't forget to download your reading and pronunciation worksheet and upload your reading of the Khaa and the Kasra Tanween to the course website. And if you'd like to get a hold of our entire set of worksheets that go along with these video tutorials and you don't have them already, then please see the instructions at the end of this video or in the text blurb below. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you back here again. Ma'as salama.